All right, it is 6 o'clock and I will call the Dalton Township Planning Commission meeting to order for September 3rd, 2024. We'll do roll call. Dave, I am here. Jesse? Here. Todd? Here. Casey?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
Kevin?
Here.
And John is excused. Anything to add to the agenda for tonight?
No.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion?
Make motion to approve the agenda.
Support. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Move forward. All right, then we have the approval of minutes and 2 resolutions.
There are 2 typos in the minutes for July 30th. The last 2 things on there right before adjournment, it shows that I voted yes and abstained. I think it's just a copy and paste error. I did vote yes on both of those. When's the correct time to fix that?
That's it.
The Mueller pavement and the draft ordinance.
Okay. Yep, I will take you out of abstaining
Yes, correct.
on SPR 24-12.
Yep.
And what was the second one?
The draft ordinance right below it.
Okay.
Anything else? Like to make a motion?
Motion to approve the July 30th meeting minutes. And August 5th, or just the one at a time?
We could do all 4 of them together, but I think you have to list them separately. State.
Okay, approval of minutes, July 30th, 2024 minutes, August 5th, 2024 special meeting minutes, resolution SU 24-05, resolution SU 24-06.
Support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll move on to public comment. We have 2 items for public hearing tonight, but prior to that, we have a kind of a general public comment. So if you have something you would like to take, you have up to 3 minutes to go ahead and speak on anything of your choosing. So I will go ahead and open that up at 6:03.
Over on Whitehall Road that you had up for auction. You converted it back to residential. Isn't that right across from the storage units and stuff right there? I thought it was up for auction. Has anything happened on that?
What specific property?
It's on Whitehall Road. It's where the industrial park was. I believe the township rezoned it.
Is this
Industrial back to residential.
south of Agard? Or is it
Might
the old Wayside Trailer Park?
I don't think it's the trailer.
You cut down a bunch of trees. I thought that was
Yeah.
the township.
Okay, yep, that was, I believe that was part of the industrial park.
Right.
And that was purchased by a private individual from the county. And they
Okay.
are developing it.
Okay, so I was wondering about the outcome. Somebody purchased it.
Yes,
And do you know what they're developing it into?
so they are developing it into storage units, condo for storage space and other business developments.
It's not going to be residential? We're not building houses or
Correct.
apartments?
There is, north of Agard is going to be industrial.
Okay,
There'll be a planned unit development for industrial and commercial uses.
okay,
South of Agard, we did rezone that to residential. There's a 40-acre parcel
right.
that was rezoned
Well, on
south of
Agard,
Agard.
right there in that corner, where the storage unit are, there's 3 acres that we're thinking about what to do with. Right now, there's storage units and Brian has a garage facility there. So we were wondering if you were converting the property across the street into residential, you know, whether we could convert ours to the same thing and build an apartment complex or something like that. So that was my question. I didn't know what the outcome was of that property and how it's gonna affect us across the street from it. You know,
You have a parcel in the industrial park as well, is that right?
no, across the street on the way home.
We could definitely discuss that.
Yeah, I just want to find out what the
What
outcome
avenues
is
we could take.
and what possibilities we could do with that extra storage unit, whether it could be apartments or whether it has to be industrial. I'm just, you know, I see going from industrial, going backwards to residential means that the industrial isn't working, or you're not filling that space. So you're going back to residential to fill it or whatever. So I just want to know what we could do across the street. So
I think I would check in with Stephen, you know, and he can give you a better idea of what's going on exactly. And
appreciate it. Thank you.
yep, you're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, I will close the public comment section at 6:06. Move on to items for public hearing. First up tonight, we have the zoning change 24-04 at 2987 Pillen Road. I think we have the applicants here.
Correct.
If you'd like to take a second, go ahead and give us, get an opportunity to talk a little bit. I know you talked about it in the last meeting, but just kind of reiterate again kind of what you're looking at.
Yes, and the back portion of my property is 5 acres, which I purchased, 1987, I believe. It's been, at one time, was owned the agriculture, and I'm not exactly sure, I think it was around 2006, that we changed and put into residential. And we'd like to actually have that put back into agricultural, if we could right now, for the rezone. In our hopes that, we're not sure how far we're gonna go along with it, but it's to put a wedding barn on this 5 acre facility. We're not quite sure, we've got a lot of loopholes to go through and a lot of funding and things like that, but our first step is to get it set at agricultural, then we probably will apply then for a special use permit. But that's our hopes anyway, and see how it goes.
Okay. Any questions?
Take it. That was gonna take place for the special event venue. This is just something I learned. You have to combine the lots together because the special event has to be on the same parcel as the primary residence, right? Is that how it was worded?
I believe so. Or I think it's dwelling or active agricultural use.
It's actively as an agricultural use already.
Yeah, so we would have to, they would have to, as part of the application process, they would, you know, clarify what they mean by agricultural use and we have specific standards that we use to determine whether or not something is, something qualifies for an agricultural building. So we would use those standards as reference when determining that, whether or not the use is adequate or if it needs to be part of the dwelling.
Does the R1 restrict you guys, like, for the event venue or for the wedding venue?
Yeah, so my understanding is it has to be agricultural in order to apply for a special venue permit.
Is that your residence right in the middle of that property?
Actually, my residence is right there on Pillen Road. And then from that point, the other property is along the cemetery. And then the 5 acres actually goes partially behind the cemetery,
Oh,
through the woods and then past that.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the cemetery.
Time I had owned, that property all the way to the creek. And, a few years, I did, I 2 parcels. And then sold off, 2 of the parcels. And then kept the other 2.5 parcels myself. Give me a 10-acre parcel for my horses and things like that. I've had horses there at that facility probably for 40 years now, it's like.
All right. Any other questions or Before we open a public hearing?
If I'm not mistaken, at the last meeting you were here, you indicated that you've spoke to your neighbors about your plans, I think, and everybody's good with that.
Yeah, the only person I haven't spoken to is Steve, and I went to his house a couple times, he wasn't home, and I haven't spoken, we talked to the other neighbors on both sides.
And I'm probably jumping ahead, it's just one of those boxes that, you know, you can check off and.
Yeah, there was even several people that come to me, one come to me at the bank and said, hey, are you putting a wedding barn up? We need that in our area. And I said, okay, let's see what we can do.
To be fair, there's only 5 other people on our side that are actually zoned residential. And of those 5, at least 3 that we have talked to were like, we wanted it agricultural anyways. They weren't even aware it was rezoned residential.
All right. It's at 6:10. I'm going to open up the public hearing for ZC 24-04. So if you have a comment, stand up and state your name and address. And if you have your comment at that point, you have 3 minutes to discuss. I'll give it one last call. Anyone that has any interest for that? I will close the public hearing for ZC 24-04 at 6:11. Questions?
Mine's just one has really nothing to do. Why does the second vacant parcel right next to the property say Pillen Road when it's clearly doesn't touch Pillen at all? Like it's on, shouldn't that one say McMillan too? Where'd this map come from?
This is from, this is the parcel from the county's GIS equalization. So if an address were to be issued for this, it would be issued on McMillan.
Oh, I was gonna say. I
Yeah,
thought you were
it was
gonna
just
say
put
Pillen.
in
I'm like,
as,
how can that
it was just put in as pill in it.
Okay,
Um,
because it touches only McMillan, right? Am I blind?
No, you are correct.
Okay, all right, I'm looking at Google now, because I'm like, I don't think this is right, okay.
When I purchased that property, I purchased it with the home and 5 acres.
Oh, you split this one, and that's why was it split off the one that touches Pillen Road?
Actually, yes, it was split up.
That's why,
Yes,
okay,
I didn't do that split, it was already split from a gentleman, his name was Ken Yob. Who
okay.
owned it previously, and they split that over 10, and then I bought that 10 acre from him on a land contract.
Okay.
And that, I've owned that for almost 38 years, so 37 years.
Are there any other board comments or questions or?
What type of agricultural use are you using here?
Right now,
Yeah,
for horses, grazing horses,
how many horses do you have?
5 right now. I can put a couple for sale for you. That's the backyard, I can deliver them.
And following master plan, it does sit at the dividing line, so being able to do that, it would stay within the master plan in doing so. If we decided to move that.
What's that mean?
we just, every 5 years, we have to revisit the master plan. And the whole idea is it's something that kind of gives us a compass to any decisions. If we do things, we have certain corridors that we are using for more business opportunities, and maybe it has a mixed thing of whether we choose to, think it should be more. Doesn't really apply at that point, but it's just, in the master plan, it does show in here that you are, you're right at the border between the two. So, in doing what the thing that you would like to do is, it's not in conflict with this.
If it was agricultural before 2006, how big of an area did that agricultural cover? Was it like all of this R1 was agricultural, or?
I'm not sure. I would imagine a greater area was agricultural. And when they did the rezoning, they just blanket rezoned everything north of McMillan and south of Michelinda as the high water table for
Mhm.
agricultural use. And then anything south of there, they said would be appropriate for residential development.
Cause that's when the mass rezoning took place,
Yes.
2006, that's right.
The other side of the street is still agricultural.
But they just did that willy-nilly, they had no idea, they just were like, oh, this is, not all these parcels are high water, but let's just do this, I remember when it
They
happened,
just drew a line.
everyone was so mad.
Sense.
Because there are tons of parcels in this agriculture area that now, like, you can't build and they're high and dry, like, not everything in that green is wet. And probably not everything south of it is dry, honestly. No.
Yeah, I mean, actually, wet.
Right, and just, you know, some spongy areas.
You can pull full down and get washed. 2 feet.
And then right here, it was like high and dry, like we couldn't even begin to have any wetlands or anything if we tried.
I'll get central ones out there. Validate. I think I know this stuff.
Any other discussion, or anyone like to make a motion? Again, this is just to send this goes through to the board for their approval, but. There's a.
I'll make a motion. I make a motion to recommend that the township board approve the ordinance to rezone 2987 Pillen Road in parcels 6107-035-100-000-200 and 6107-035-100-000-230 along McMillan Road.
Support. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote here. Dave, yes. Jesse?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Casey?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Kevin? Yes. All right, that moves forward to the board. All right, next up, we have our ordinance amendment for dwelling requirement and the minimum roof pitch. All right, I think this time there's not anyone that really is. We'll just go ahead and open up the public hearing for this one at 6:20. If you have a comment, again, go ahead and just stand and you have 3 minutes to speak your piece.
Hi, my name is Rodney Smith. I own the property on Roberts Road off River. The question that I have is for mobile, quote unquote, trailers, modular and manufactured home requirements. roof pitch specifically. The ordinance almost seems more discriminatory than it does in any sort of building code or requirement that there's all dwellings, all buildings, all structures are required to meet certain engineering requirements, snow loads, live loads and such. And all homes, all houses, whether they're mobile, modular, manufactured, all have to meet that requirement. And I don't see any reason why you can't put any dwelling anywhere on the property that you own. So I'd like to ask her if there's something that I can do or something to submit for the board to review, visit, update those requirements. Not sure what route to take, so if you have any input or direction to go on something like that, to visit those requirements.
I'm not sure I follow you. I'm familiar with manufactured homes, mobile homes.
Right.
Et cetera, a lot of re-roofs, right, and so on. Without an ordinance declaring a minimum, who are we discriminating, or who would be discriminated in terms of their roof needs?
The zoning board requires a minimum roof pitch of 4 and 12.
That's what we're removing.
That's
We're gonna remove that.
That is-
This ordinance right here is to remove it right now.
That's what it's hearing is for.
That's what this
Yeah.
one's for.
Okay.
We've already
Yeah,
met, and we've decided at this point, we've taken any mention of any pitch requirement out. So now it is basically, you just have to have it built to standard. There's actually a sample on here of what the new ordinance would read, and that would be actually going into our books as far as the rule going forward. We heard your concerns the last time.
Right.
And we had no answers. And that was kind of one of those things you look at and scratch your head and think, right, there's only one reason to do that. There's really not any safety difference. There's no difference at all. So I mean, at this point, I think this is at the point where we are going to make our vote on this at the end of the comments. But your comments, you brought this forward and we appreciate that. It was a way for us to look into it, and we all looked at each other, and that was before us. Be you before us. So we don't have an answer for you why it was that way, but we're gonna.
Someone on this committee, I don't remember who, but they said, we have no business telling people what pitched roof they have to have. You want a Frank Lloyd Wright, flat sloped roof, beautiful, whatever. So I think that perpetuated this today.
So thank you for your input.
Yeah, were they at the zoning board of appeals?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's what started. Okay.
I wasn't sure how the process worked, so.
There is a typo in the proposed ordinance, so it says, section 4.12F, but it's actually G. Unless we've changed something else. In my book, it's G that we'd be revising. But I do think some of my pages are a little old.
That we may be due for another meeting in which we
I
can say.
think
You
I
have
need
to
a new book.
codify what you will, just to codify some of the recent changes. I believe the accessory dwelling units last year changed this section as well. And I believe we removed or added a section,
Okay, so it is F in the
so
current
it would
book.
be F.
All right, do we have
Is it
any?
G in your book? Does anybody have it being F?
I'd have to,
Because if we all have it G, we need new books because
I have it in G.
mine G, mine says G, 412 pitch, or yeah, 412 pitch. I don't think I've gotten a new book in like 2-3 years or so.
Fix the rules in the book, right?
I don't even know what I'm fixing anymore because it looks so out of date.
all right, we are still in public hearings. Is there anyone else that has a comment? Anything else at this point under that? All right, I will go ahead then and close the public hearing at 6:25. All right, is there any other further discussion on this from any of the board? Here to the part where if someone would like to make a motion.
Make motion to recommend that the township board of trustees adopt the proposed ordinance to remove the minimum roof pitch requirement.
Or
Roll call on this. Dave, yes. Jesse? Yes. Todd?
Yes.
Casey?
yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
All right, that goes to the board. So again, thank you for your input. It's one of those things that not that we don't hear sometimes, it's just we don't know. Next, we have some communications, some township board meeting minutes. The zone planning and zoning report for 2024. And then we have a minor amendment to SPR 24-06- an administrative approval, and that's just the signs. Is that what that is?
That is for, the alteration to the canopy, they're adding, adding a small detail there.
Okay.
For rising up to the end of that.
And they're adding a different flag to the canopy as well.
Nothing that requires our action.
Correct.
Appreciate that.
Minor enough.
Thank goodness, because that's mine.
Right, we have no unfinished business. We have no new business unless anyone has anything. And we are up to item 10, the adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We end the meeting at 6:27.